Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a budget build, so let's get started.
So in this build we set ourselves a budget of about £430. We came in just under that. So we're going to list some of the parts that we used in our build, and we're going to show you that after this bit. So firstly we've got the Versa H18, which if you look up here, click on the eye, you can see our in-depth review of that.
Especially when you get electrocuted. I always remember
Yes,
that.
I did get static shock. So this is about £40 new in this case. So next we got our CPU. We're using an i3 3220 and we got this from an online auction website. It cost us about £20. For the CPU to keep that cool in this case, we got an Akasa cooler. The value of this is only about £7 on auction sites, but that's more than enough for what we're going to be throwing with it. So next up we got ourselves a 500 gigabyte hard disk drive from Samsung, and these you can pick up second hand again from an auction site, and this cost us about £20. Next up we have the RAM to go on the motherboard, which we'll go through in a moment. We got some Corsair Vengeance. This is rated at 2000 MHz. These are 2 gig sticks, so it's going to give us a total of 4 gigs in this machine. This RAM cost us about £60, so it's not cheap for 4 gig of RAM, but it's hard to come by, this type of RAM, and it's still quite expensive even now. So that cost us £60 for 4 gig of DDR3. For the OS drive, we got an SSD for this one, so we got a Samsung 850 EVO. This is a 250 gig, and this one we got second hand and it cost us about £50. You could probably get that a little bit cheaper if you shopped around, but we were time limited and this is what we came up with, so we've got that for our OS drive. So for our motherboard of choice we went for an Asus, because Asus are pretty good and reliable. This is a P8 H61 chipset, and this is the revision 2 of this board. This one we got second hand and cost us about £50. So for graphics we went with a discrete GPU, so we went with the Gigabyte Overclock edition. This has 2 gig on board, and this is the 1050. This is not the TI variant, this is a 1050. This cost us about £120. So to power all this we're using Thermaltake's Smart Series RGB PSU. This is a 700 watt PSU, and this costs about £55, and this is also brand new. So to keep everything cool for the CPU, the motherboard and the CPU cooler, we've got some Arctic Silver 5. Of course we couldn't do without SATA cables or serial ITA cables to connect our hard disk drive and our SSD. They cost me nothing as I already have them. So the total value of all this is an estimated £428.
Let's get building.
I spec'd up this new smart RGB Series PSU, the 700 watt one, then realising that this case is going to be wasted for this PSU and the RGB that it has within, because you can't actually see anything, and the only place you're going to see it is underneath, and where this particular case is going to go, it's not going to be seen at all. So I've opted for the TR2 S 700 watt, which has no RGB in it. It's very silent, similar specification to the RGB Smart Series PSU that I spec'd up for this build. It's more suited to this build. It's the same colour. It does have ketchup and mustard cables at the end, but for this type of build it doesn't really matter. So the RGB one would be wasted in this case. So I'm going to use that in another build, and we're going to continue with this one.